Hey guys, how you doing? Let's see if I'm gonna make sure everything's working. Alrighty, it's recording. Perfect. Okay, this is a game I played. It's a really good game, and I wanted to show it to you guys how there's a tactic that I set up, and I'm going to allow you guys to find it. I'll give you guys some time when I get to the critical point, and so that it'll be a puzzle for you guys to work on when you like watch it again on YouTube or on Twitch, so that you can work it out and get better as well. C4, E6, E3, D5, C takes D5, E takes D5, and then D4. I played knight F3. This stops the potential for F3 and E4 because this knight guards it, and I could also maybe later on implant a knight to E4. Knight F3. I played bishop D6. You could potentially play bishop G4 if you'd like. D6 is good. A3. I castled to get my king to safety. B4 for expansion, and then I played bishop G4. He played bishop E2. I played knight BD7. So I'm developing all my pieces, and I played C3 to cement my position and allow for a spot for my queen to go to on C7. Bishop B2, C7, knight B D3, and then I played knight to E4, which this allows for a potential attack on F2. Also, I have a potential takes here, like if he castles, let's say he castles right now, I can play bishop takes. If pawn takes, then I can play bishop takes check. And if king moves, then I can actually let me see here. I had an idea. Let me see. I think it has something to do with that. Yeah, there and here. If he tries there, you just bring in the knight, and he can try to block there, but it doesn't really do anything because then you can just take with the knight. So there's a lot of different attacks that can go down the lane. So I played there, and he played in my opinion, very inaccurate. This is the move that sets up the combo. Not yet. I have to get all my pieces ready. He castles. Now there's a mate in 6. Let's see, mate in 5. I'm gonna give you guys a second to work this out a little bit, and I'm gonna see what you guys think. So I'll give you about 30 seconds to take a look. Okay, starting now. When it reaches 11:26, I am going to show you the line one move at a time, and I'll see if you guys solved it. So I'll give you till 11:27, so yeah, one more minute. Don't be afraid to put something in, what you think the move is. Okay, I know you guys saw this bishop h3, rook e1. That blocks the king's flight square, so now we've deprived the king of his flight square on f1. So the first move you had to have seen is that move. The second move is knight takes f2, king takes f2, bishop takes e check, king goes to g1, bishop takes h2 check, knight takes check, h1, and then queen g2 mate. There's also a line here after bishop takes that I looked at. Pawn takes, knight goes to e4 check, king is forced back, queen comes sliding in check, king moves over, and then you deliver mate on either queen to g2 or an even sweeter mate, which is knight to f2. You're mating the king and forking the queen at the same time. You gotta love it. We'll do one more game and then we'll get on to our puzzles. Come on. Don't stall him now. Come on. There we go. This is against a 2000. He played d4, e6, c4, and then d5. Queen's Gambit declined. Knight c3, knight f6, f3, c6, the semi-Slav defense. e3, b6. The idea with b6 is to play, if you can, bishop a6. Bishop d3, bishop a6, b3, bishop b4. Now I'm pinning the knight to the king. D, castles, castles, c takes d, c takes d, and then I retreated my bishop out for, now I'm trying to go for an attack. Queen e2. I don't want this to accidentally happen and lose a piece, so that wouldn't be fun. I think I'd be fine even if I did like play something like this. He played there. I think I could just take, queen takes, retakes, then you take there. So I think I'd still been okay. So, but I'm trying to get everything honing down on the king side. Everything's starting the attack. e4, trying to produce a fork on e5. So you guys saw that knight bd there. It's like, for real? You think I'm really gonna do that? He brings his bishop in. I played f6, queen e2. Now my idea is I'm gonna try to get to queen to h5. Queen h5, attacking the bishop. Also preparing to play g5. Bishop takes, and then c5. He pushes there. E takes, knight takes, bishop takes, pawn takes, and then knight to a6 with the idea of implanting a knight there, or coming back to c2 maybe, and then rerouting that way. Queen e4, knight to b, queen e6, bishop takes, because I'm also winning the bishop as well. Queen takes. I'm not sure if king takes was actually best or queen takes. I kind of didn't get to, okay, so queen takes was best in that line, okay. Queen takes, I thought it might have been. Now I'm forking the rooks. Queen takes, that was actually, he made a mistake. Probably like a mouse slip. He probably meant to play rook to e7. But I still don't think it would have mattered, because then I could have just snapped off that pawn. And so I moved there, I just took. Kind of got a little scared here. I should have just grabbed the knight there. And I don't really think that there's anything he could do. Yeah, I kind of did some reactive chess there. So it tells you guys, just don't move, don't react. Just, you know what, if you feel like you have a position, just grab that. Just grab it. The worst that he plays is over here, and even if he tries to play here, I win the knight. So that was kind of silly of a move. Kind of a this would kind of get like a blunder mark. There's a blunder, and then that was another blunder. Sorry, actually a dubious move. Queen H. I'm still up material whole piece. Takes. Check. I bring my queen back. I'm not sure. Let's see what I could have played here. Okay, so queen up there. I don't know why I was a little concerned. I should have just kept right there, and he could have moved here. And then you attack the queen. And you grab the pawn. Okay. I tried to trade. He played there. I intercepted. He kept his queen. Because if he trades off queens right now, I'm actually totally owning, because I have a rook and a knight to just. I have an extra rook and a knight, so he's not going to win. So he goes D. I go F5. Trying to trade off. He plays there, and then I drop knight to F3, and he resigned here, because if he plays here, I just take there. Now I'm a whole queen, knight. I am this up against him. If he plays there, you check, intercepts, you take, he comes there. You actually can now bring a rook in if you want. Or even better, knight. And he takes there. So mate 2. If he tries there, you just checkmate. So I wanted to share that with you. Now we'll go over our London system. This is the Queen's Indian, but it has another name called the Indian game. So I thought you guys would like to see. It's really odd. It's called the Indian game, but it's also the Queen's Indian because of how the setup is. Where the bishop fianchettos is why it was that. Knight to c3. This, if black ever thinks of getting a little silly and plays knight over here, we just play bishop to g5, f3, h, g. If, of course, you've seen this before. If that happens, he takes. You take here with check. When the king moves, you actually win the queen. So he can't play. He can't play g5. That would be a. Oh, I forgot to mark this. Sorry, guys. It's a double question mark. Come on, don't lag him in now. There we go. Double question mark. He played instead of that. When we played there. He played c5. But if you play here and you do this line, he goes g6. Bishop bd2, and there's that line. Then there's actually a a much better, this is actually the move that he should have played. Bishop to d6. Bishop d6 does something that, see, we don't have the ability to go to g3 now because we pushed our pawn to h3. So we have to trade. This gets rid of one of white's best bishops at this moment. So takes, knight bd2, castles, bishop d3, and we don't have as much attack as we used to. d5, castles, rook e8, c5, f5. So he takes d, bishop takes, queen takes is dubious. They're saying that knight to c2 is best because it activates the queen along the open file. Also, it triple attacks the knight, which we would win a pawn at that point. But a dubious move is taking, because you take, then you have to move the knight. So you put your knight offside, queen c2, rook c1 to attack the queen, a3, knight c6, queen g, and then knight e2, e7. Really, where is white's advantage now? There's like no advantage for white anymore. It's equal. Black has came out fine in this type of line. His e4 pawn cements his structure. His knight, we don't have, our knights really are horrible placed, and there's really nothing we can do. Our knights, our rooks are all uncoordinated. It's just a yucky position. So don't get yourself into yucky positions. c5, c3. This is a very dubious move. You don't want to do this. This actually helps with c takes. What they're saying is bishop to e7, knight bd2, castles, and then bishop to d3, which now you're getting your pieces involved to the king side. Now we're starting to, here and there. d6, castles, bd2, queen e2, connecting the rooks, which means we're into now a middle game. Queen c2, queen c7, e4 to try to get some attack going, unleash and get our bishops. Knight, rook f, d8. Excuse me. We did this. Oops, we did this move so that it allows for this if he pushes there, because there's enough to actually now defend this square. So he'd get a tempo on us if he pushed it when our bishop was here. So we just counteracted, and then at the right moment, smack. And this is a good move here. This takes advantage and allows for the opening of the C file, which is actually what black wants. Black controls the C file. Hold on one sec, just gotta get a drink of water. I'll be right. One second. Much better. Thank you guys for your patience on that. Okay. So black now controls the open C file. And even if he plays rook here, you could play queen takes, like I'll show you, if we played something like this, he could just take, and then we'd have to plop a knight back there, and an advantage for black. Oops, where did I leave off? I'm sorry, here. So we played we played a4, knight bd7, a5, rook takes, c7. Now we're trying to double up. We're pushing. And at this point, what space advantage now does white have? I don't really see anything. White kind of, his queenside space, any space advantage he had is now neutralized by black. Black's going to be able to unwind his pieces pretty soon. And what is white attacking? Huh? I don't see it. So that's why bishop to e7 would have been a better move. But he played the dubious move c takes d, and then bishop to e7, trying to get castled. He played knight. Hold on, let me make sure I have this correctly done. Let me make sure I put in the right notation. Hold on. Yes, good idea. That's an interesting move. There's also black castle. They're saying an interesting move for black would have been knight bd2, and then at this point, bishop to e3 is actually an exclam move, because what we're preparing is if castles, right? We're preparing queen to d2 or c2, and if here, now we're preparing knight. Not that knight. Sorry, wrong knight. We want to get our other knight involved. We're preparing knight there, and if knight takes, first you grab a pawn, and then after the king moves, you grab the knight. Now you're up a pawn. If you play something like this, you just take, and this actually leads to mate. So it's kind of a interesting position, to say the least. It's not the so just make sure when yeah, then knight bd5. This is a dubious move because it says that he surrendered the e5 square to your knight, which would be very happy to actually take over that spot. And there's really only a piece that could dislodge it, would be the bishop. So, or this knight, and we could always put two knights there. We're bringing the pieces over to white, to black's side, and we're going to defeat black. So if we play here, let's see, where are we at now? Knight cd2. This is my line right here. If he gets a little too so he's probably going to play f5 there, and then get his position protected to lock down. But this is kind of not a very attractive position, guys. But we played a3. He castled. Knight c to c3, and he also said back here, right here, when you played a3, he says why he didn't understand why black didn't just play knight to c3 right now. Even if there's a pin, you can just bring the queen in. You know, it's not a big sitch. So, but c3, d6, bishop bd3, and this allows for the placement of the pieces to be properly brought in. Knight bd7, castles, rook e8, e4. Now we're trying to deprive black of his most active position. If we can get e5 played, we will have a cramp on black's position. And knight to F8 is actually the correct move. If you play a mistake and play bishop to F8, you get to have this black gets the surprise of his life dropped on him. E5, E takes D5, E takes D5, Knight D5. Remember what's surrendered now? The H7. So here comes the boom. Bishop takes H7, check. King H8, and then here comes the boom again. Knight to G5, check. And then now we play queen to E3 check, or D3 check, and that there's another attack. Wham. F5, E takes F, and that's another discover check. Bang. Boy, everything's just getting decimated here. Knight to C to E4, and I believe that potentially there's a mate that's, let's see, this is taken. Let's see, he really only has, he has 2 squares to go to. And this, I believe, it leads to, if he played here, that leads to mate there. If he plays here, what am I missing? What am I missing? Oh. Okay. But that's such a sweet move. So they're saying also a better move besides even knight to F8 would be bishop to, G6, because this allows for the ability for the bishop to go to F8. Oops, I gotta turn this off. Bishop F8, and then into G7 for the ability to guard the king. It also stops the big time attack on H7. So E4, knight F8, rook E1, A6, queen to D2, which this connects the rooks, so we're ready for the middle game attack, and we're gonna bring some hammer down basically. B5, rook A D1, rook C8, bishop H2. You'll see why bishop H2 is played. Queen B6, and then surprise E5. He plays knight BD2, which is dubious. Even worse is actually taking here, because E takes, D takes, takes, B3 to retreat. We take check, knight takes, and then queen to F7 with, or not F7, F4. We're gonna pluck that pawn off the board, or potentially go to H4 and get some attack on the H7 square or pawn. And white actually comes up. Let me see. I think we're up an exchange here. Yeah, we have. Let's see. We have 3. Let's see. He has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we have 6 pawns, but we have 1 more piece than he has. So we're equal if you want to think about it, but we have more piece power, and so I like piece power better. We're saying also best would have been knight BD7, bishop takes knight, bishop takes D5, bishop B1, and then B4, and rook to E3. This is like a French line, but it's actually better for for black, because black got his light squared bishop off the board, and remember in the French, the light squared bishop is black's bane. That's the bane of his existence, that bishop. Black was able to exchange it off. Yes, white has space, but that can easily be disintegrated with f6. So e5, knight fd5, takes, b4, takes. So now black's left with a very bad bishop. White has two bishops, and you're thinking, why can't the queen take d6? If it takes d6, you're gonna say goodbye to Her Majesty. So the pawn is protected for now. Knight e, d5, and then this is an interesting move. I know you're thinking, what if he takes here? Well, then he gets another surprise of his life. If he comes there, he gets this with a huge attack. So he can't take. That would be a this would be, in my opinion, a double question mark, because it would lose a whole piece. I would give that. So if you guys are thinking about that, don't do that move. That would not be a good move. So he takes, rook takes, and then rook to c1, which now you're wanting to trade off pieces because we have this passed pawn, which is going to be a problem for black because it's 2 squares away from queening. Rook dd8. Now we're going to play queen c4 to get rid of the knight, and then e5. Now we have all of our pieces to their optimum placement. We have a queen that could go to g5, so h6 to stop g5. f6 is a mistake because you could play bishop to g3, and look what's weak. The e6 pawn is like, it's like going down, and if you try to do that, then you get another surprise of your life, which is a fork on your rook, and you're like, oh man, what just happened there? So the pawn's gonna eventually fall. It'd have to be protected by the king, and you don't want to bring the king out when white has this mega attack coming down the pike. So e5, that's why he played e5, was trying to provoke f6, which he didn't do that. He played h6. Also, it was member for a queen to g5. That would have been cool. But you have to be careful of before, you can't really do g5 because there's a fork, so yeah, I gotta be careful on fork setup like that. Bishop d3. Now this is a really good move because it protects the bishop, also prepares to swing the bishop over to g3 and threaten mate. f6, bishop takes. That was sweet. There's also this bishop to g3 is a really good move. Takes, bishop takes, because it's forced, you have to, otherwise it's going to queen. Takes, and then you take. First of all, you take there, you got to. Don't get a little happy about taking here. Just remember, takes, rook takes. Now we've made our pawns equal. He doesn't have a majority anymore. We're up a whole exchange now. A full, sorry, my lips got stuck there. A full exchange. Otherwise, if we had just taken here, he could have either taken with the bishop. He could have just taken with the bishop. Now he has a majority, and we're only one pawn up. But because we were patient and we took and didn't get scared of, we did the in-between intermezzo move, and then we took. Now we're okay. There's also, worse than ever would be king to h7. This is like saying to white, please attack me. It's like saying, because you're bringing your king to guard the pawn. It's like, really? What are you doing? You know? Yeah, you're gonna guard a pawn, but to the detriment of the king. Hold on, I need to drink water, and we'll get back into this. Thank you for your patience, and let's continue onward. But to the detriment of the king? Really? Is that pawn really worth it? Is it worth exposing your king to such a powerful attack that's going to be happening? First you take, and then queen h7. It's like, I would not want to be black here. No, no, no. Rook takes d6, because you got to take the pawn. And well, you know what? This gets an exclam because we're not worrying about material. Remember, the game's about mate. And this rook's going to be a weakness for a while anyways. Knight e7, bishop takes, because that now we take, and then we check on h5, king f8, and then rook takes, bang. It's like I love when these takes happen. It's like smack, man. And then the queen is the bishop protects against the queen, and so the queen has really only one move to. I like this. I just like the power of this move. Rook to e1, d1. It's like, and then the queen says, I'm willing to sacrifice myself, because if you think about taking here, don't think about taking there, because then you get checkmated. So don't even think of touching the queen. If you did touch the queen, it's game over. So bishop takes, interesting move, and then check. Bishop takes, and then rook to e7. Rook g8. There's also rook g8 is a good move, and then rook c7, which this does have a pretty good attack with the bishop queen to g6, and there is a monster attack happening. This pawn is huge. Not much can be done. So he plays knight to g8 to attack the rook and the queen, and we're not worried about that, because if the knight takes, we just take back. I'll show you what would happen is if the knight actually took here, you take here, and there's no way to stop the queen. So what would happen is you'd queen. Alright. And then you take back with check, and now you're up a whole exchange. I wanted to put that in there so you guys if you guys wondered what the setup was. And then rook e8. This is actually in that line. This is the best line here, because this is what happens: takes, and now when he exchanges off, then we take back. This is a better line for us because we have a majority on the king side, and our rook is most active. We can eliminate if he takes here and here after we exchange off. He's down to 2 pawns, and all we gotta do is eliminate those 2 pawns and get our babies rolling down the pike. We're winning. But this is an interesting move too. Rook takes, and then bishop to b7, which that's a mistake. Best is to keep an eye on the square on this on this diagonal. You have to keep an eye on that. And then we takes, and we can't really push at this moment. We'd have to like bring our rook and then push. So we might even have to play rook c8, and then the queen would have to come, and it'd be interesting. But b7 isn't the most attractive, because that allows for d7. Remember, if the queen would have been on g5 or f5, that would have been stopped. King d5, f3, check, king h1, d2, rook guards. Now we brought a rook over. Everything is operation go. This is gonna end up queening. c6, and then we queen. And if we play queen takes, you take the queen, and if you play bishop takes, you take the queen. And so there's no real way to do anything about it. And at this point, when that happened, white resigned. And this is what the summary, to sum up this game, the writer said. Oh, we will go over it. Let's see here. The permanent weakness of, let's go back to the point here, the premature taking right here, which is the most common inaccurate move for black. They think it's a good move, and then when you take back here, it opens up the C3 square for the knight, which is its most active square. Otherwise, the only spot that the knight could go to would be knight bd7, bd2, and it's not as powerful on that square. But if you take, now the knight gets c3, and this is a really active square. You can now start an attack after bishop to d3. Let's see. Okay, is a more aggressive, and it's actually where it belongs. The knight would love to belong on c3. Okay, well, with that, that's the wrap up. We'll do some puzzles, and I'll leave this puzzle with you guys to go over, and I'll be right back. So put in what you guys think the moves are, we'll go over them, and then we'll start getting some puzzles correct. Alrighty. Let's get on this, guys. Okay. Okay, let's see, what do we have here? So, queen to e5. Just trying to trade off queens and then get a pass pawn here. We have him under a lot of pressure. Okay, dokie. Trying to see if we can't play. If you guys have any move lines you want to take a look at, let's see here. Oh, sorry. Just trying to think here. What can we play? Thinking about playing queen to d2. That's the only move that makes sense. Huh. Missed that. Snap. That was right in front of us. Huh. Let's do one thing real quick. Let's take a look at sometimes there's some really good games that are playing right now just for a second to get our mind. We're not going to play, but we're going to watch some high rated players just really quick. We'll get into a rapid. These guys are 2100 and 2200. So let's just take a look to see how they play for just a second. So white played G6. I mean G3. It's equal position. Now black has to plan out what is black want to do, because this pawn's guarded, that's pawn's guarded. Oh, so he's moving his king, okay. I was wondering if he would have played back here, if he would have pushed the pawn, and then, I mean, push the pawn here. Rook takes, rook takes, rook takes, rook takes, but I think he has check. No, his king was there, so I don't think he wanted to get into a pin. Yeah, it's a little cramped of a position, so. Now this pawn has a potential to fall, so we gotta be really careful with it. He's gonna have to push. At this point, there's not much he can really do. He could protect it, but then that'll be to his detriment. Wow, he just surrendered. He missed the opportunity to take. But I think if he would have taken, now that I think about it, he could have pinned. Well, then he could have doubled up rooks there. And then played a pawn push. Yeah, that he could have won that pawn. That was a mistake. That was an inaccurate move. He should have picked the pawn off of blacks, and that would have given him a passed b pawn. He would have had to calculate just a tiny bit back here. If he would have taken here, not with the taken with bishop takes, and if rook slides over, rook slides over. If rook slides over, oh, come on. Okay, here, 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 and then pawn to b3, and his position cemented. And he would have been just fine. A whole pawn up. Now he has to worry about the passed pawn here. It's like, well, now white, in my opinion, I think white's winning here. But black does have one thing over white, and that is he has a further passed pawn. Yeah, he's going to have to play rook bd2, rook b2. Otherwise, he's going to lose his bishop. He's got to play rook b2. Or maybe no. If he takes the pawn, the bishop takes, so he can't do that. So rook b2 is the only move that, yeah. And he moves, and then if he's going to grab another pawn. right here. White's collapsing on himself. His position's falling apart. Wow, he did not take. That's interesting to say the least. Huh. I would have taken. That's a little too 2-2. There's no reason for him to not have taken back here. Should have just taken here, right here. Okay, takes here, bishop takes, pawn takes. He always has that. Or maybe, why not just push? And then if king takes, you take there. I guess it would be an equal position better for white at that point. Grab the pawn. Now white's winning. Wow, that's a tide turner right there. White's actually winning here. Wow. Now it's a draw. It's a draw now. Check. He's going to try to get in behind this pawn here. Huh. He's going to try to flag black. Check. Let's go to analyze the board here. Back here. Rather than moving there, he could have actually played here. I believe that. Let's see if the computer likes our move. This is the move I'm thinking is best. Okay, if he takes here, no, bishop takes. Okay, so maybe it's not best then. So he could have taken, so maybe at this point takes is best. It takes there. What if he would have grabbed here? And this is the bane of white's existence, and the rook could just come there. Oh man, he can't take care of the old fork trick. So he has to come back to guard there. Oops, not there. That's not what we wanted. Here, and then when the rook... he wins that, so he can't do that. Yeah, so he didn't miss that. Okay. Okay, we'll get back to puzzles now. Rather than us playing, I just wanted to go over somebody's game. Because there's something about sometimes just watching somebody else play. But he was able to flag him on time, so... I think he did win, if I'm not mistaken, yeah. White won on time. Endgame. There we go. That was an interesting endgame for sure. Okay. Now let's get back into the fray here. I'm trying to think if we take here, yeah. Let's see, we have potentially a5, pawn takes a5, bishop takes, push, push. Okay, pawn a5, pawn takes a5, takes, push, push, no sorry, push, 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 queen, check, and we check before he does. So this gets our pawn, our pass pawn here, because if we take here, he then can drop his knight into C. So if we take, he moves back and moves, and we don't have enough to stop the queen square. Let's see, if we take here, there, take, oh sorry, here, 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 queen. One move too late. We'll do one more, and then we'll work on a knight versus a knight bishop versus king, because we have to work on that anyways. That helps with the coordination of our pieces. Let's see here. Trying to see what would be. See if we take, takes. If we play rook takes, so this is kind of what I'm thinking. Rook takes, if rook takes, and now regarding this, we also have a potential, well, if we check here, yeah, that's what I'm wondering. No, not, yeah, because it's really odd, this setup for a, I just realized that that's right along with that. Yeah. And then for, let me see here. I think you could just take. No. Well, yeah, let's see, takes. Say if we take here, he takes there. Or if he takes here, we take there. Actually, we'll do one more. Yeah, if you guys want to, you can go over to my YouTube channel. I downloaded my past videos there, so if you guys want to, I just did it today, so you guys can go through all of them if you want. And if you guys missed any of the when we've been on, you can watch the pre-recorded ones on my YouTube account. Okay, let's see here. Trying to figure out how to do this here. I think it has something to do with bishop to d8. So if he plays over here, we always have there. I'm kind of liking, now that I think about it, I'm liking queen to h4. With rook to f2 to come. So I'm thinking the line goes queen h4, and if king, so alright, hold on. So queen h4, king g1, then we have king to h6. R. And then we have rook to h3, maybe rook h3, and that'll set up for a potential. So if we play here, there, if he tries something, we're also setting up potentially for something like that. A check there. So here, what do you guys think? I'm thinking rook, queen h4. Sorry about that. Alright, let's do it. What do you guys think? Maybe queen h4 isn't the right move. Make sure that you check your pawn moves. We'll go over. I'm not exactly sure on this one, so we'll just watch. We'll see what's on there for watching, because sometimes it gives. If we give ourselves just a tiny break, we'll see how many minutes are on this one. Oh, 9 minutes. So let's see a top rated one. Okay, we'll just take a look at one of these and then we'll get back into it. So takes, bishop takes, and knight on d4. Oh, and knight takes knight. Ooh, interesting. A pin. Knight takes, knight, bishop takes, then king takes. White's winning here. No, White's, I think, slightly losing. Oh, it's even. Yikes. Gotta be careful. He's gotta have to move his knight. Or bring a rook to c1, either one, something like that. It's gotta, yeah, there. That's probably best in that line. It's trying to undermine the pawn. He's going to try to reroute his knight to a, see if he can't get it to a6. Knight a6 here. Potentially might be an idea. So he's locking that down. Okay. Okay, so now that he's played his bishop, he's guarding that pawn. So what is white going to play here? What could white play here? Oh, so he's okay. He's going to surrender the. Also, he can't take because okay. He's got to play queen to b4 right now. Queen to b4 is forced. Whoa. That was a mistake. Yeah, I'm thinking that is. Trying to see what's actually best in that line. Yeah, he's gonna resign here. So let's, oh snap, I wanted to see that. I want to go over that game, drat. I wanted to go over that game. Yeah. I think he should, sorry about that, I was gonna pull that game, I should have, just a little too slow to the punch. But, he could have, I think, played his queen and been fine. Yeah. You have to be careful with that line. Let's see here. Yeah, I think he could have held on though, and then checked with the queen. I think he could have actually checked with the queen if he would have went to a4, queen to a4, or maybe even queen to. I think it was queen b4 or queen b5, and then when he tried to attack the queen with bishop to b7, I think he could have checked and then traded off queens and still been okay. I think he could have held on to his b pawn, but he threw away a pawn, and that kind of was the demise of his position. Okay, so let's see here. I was thinking of queen to h4, but I don't like queen h4. I think he has. Oh, yeah. It's interesting because he was in really a tight. He had a knight, and his opponent had a bishop. So, and especially when I don't know that's just a tough situation there. I wish I would have pulled the game. That was an interesting. That point right there at that point would have been really good. But when he won the pawn, when the other guy won the pawn, it was completely almost over at that point because there was no counter. The counterplay was all gone at that point. Yeah, I'm thinking. Oops. Yeah, I think so. He would have if he would have kept the queens on the board, I think potentially it would have maybe went to a draw. It would have been pretty hard for him though because the he had his opponent had I always call it the outside pass pawn in his pocket. Yeah, he had that. Even if he traded everything off on that one side and just kept that pawn, that would have distracted the king. You gotta be careful. If you're down material, guys, don't trade off pieces. But if you're up material, it depends on the situation. You can trade down. Like Joel Benjamin has a book on liquidation of the chessboard. There's the right time to liquidate, and the grandmasters know that because they've studied so much. That's why we're studying, and rather than me playing, we'll go over like other people that are playing, and we could talk about that. That's active study because you get the same feel as if you're playing, but you get to talk about it, and you don't have to worry about losing rating points at all, and you can learn. What do you guys think? Queen, I think either queen h4. Yeah. Maybe it's just that. Don't, what? I was hoping here. Bishop to D. My other pick was bishop to D8, but I didn't. I thought that he could play here and it would be a neutralized position. I thought he could infiltrate there, but then I forgot he could actually play there. That's irritating. This stops that. I thought he could infiltrate here, But I forgot all you have to do is move your king over to f7. Drat. It's okay. We'll get it back. It's okay. Yeah. But I gotta tell you, it's the oddest thing. Those type of positions, trust me, those are the positions that do arise in your games. So just be on the lookout for that, because that's a kind of, in my opinion, slightly common setup. Your opponent feels like, I just grabbed a pawn, and it's like, yes, and then all of a sudden the bishop goes to d8, and it's like, really? Because they probably calculated, I could just move over one square and come down, and then all of a sudden your king moves over to f7, and it's like, alright, oh, my plan didn't work. Now I'm going to lose a whole rook for a pawn. It wasn't worth it. It wasn't. So sometimes material gain, you got to make sure that it's not a trap. Let's see here. Okay. Let's see. 1 second. Hold on, because he did, and that he did lose the rook, but he actually did lose the rook. I really didn't think he was gonna move back there. That's like, that's crazy. But this have to be on. We have to be on guard for anything to arise in the position. Boy, this is kind of. I want to take with the queen. Yeah. But it would have been a slow, crush. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, if he had played queen, rook e5, yeah. But I think we would have eventually gotten the rook. We would have maneuvered our bishop around, and we would have eventually got the rook. So it just would have taken maybe a couple moves longer. Yeah. Boy, every line I'm thinking of doesn't kind of work here. I'm trying to see if we can't find any other line here. Yeah. Let's do our best to finish on a green, because after this game I gotta log off. But let's do our best to finish up on a green with this one. Boy, I so badly want to get my queen here. Or here. But I can't. Thinking if we go c5, I think he has queen to d5 at that point. That pins our queen. Oh. Yeah, I guess that does stunt that situation. Yeah. Yeah, that does do that, doesn't it? So, c5, potentially there's a, he's gonna have to stay on this diagonal with his, for his knight. So, let's see here, if we go c5, he's got, queen h, e5. And then, so we're thinking, but then he could play rook takes. I think we'd be okay in that line. I kinda do like that line. Oh. Huh. That's it. Let's try that again. Oh. Okay, see. Do you guys have any ideas before we log off tonight? Oops, on this position here. I didn't really consider that. I should have. Just protecting it. You could actually just take at that point. Get your king involved. Do you guys have any other questions about this puzzle here? Any other questions? Okay. Well, guys, I gotta tell you, sometimes a diamond and sometimes a stone, like that one song. But can I tell you, in the end, out of great trials comes excellent learning experiences, because then you get to go over it. Don't feel bad, because you know what? There's many more puzzles to come, and it's a low risk now. It's not over the board or online with your rating. So we have to learn now, so that when we apply it to our games, we won't fall for that. Just that moving the rook over to guard the bishop, that's the whole thing. Sometimes it's those small subtle moves that are right there in between, right there for us to grasp, but we just miss it by that much. So we got to keep that in mind. And it's not what you do when you fail, it's do you get back up and keep pushing forward. Remember, we have to know and apply, and we have to be willing to work, and then we're going to do it. And I always like that. I know I told you guys already about the story of, there was a thing that really was impossible, but it was in one of the memory books that I read, that the person came in, he hung up his coat and his hat, sat down and rolled up their sleeves, and the things that couldn't be done, he did, because he sat down and did it. What you think's impossible is only impossible if you don't put time in to do it. So remember that. The only way you can get better is by studying and learning. And the hardest thing to do is to learn from your mistakes, but it's the best. Josh Waitzkin said that, and the Grandmaster said that. And they were asked, I like how the Grandmasters, Bobby was asked, how many moves do you see ahead of your opponent? One, and it's always the best one. Well, Hannibal Smith also says, a plan in the position is only good when you know what your opponent's going to do, you predict what they're going to do, and you have them do what you want them to do. Before they even know it, they're playing right into your hand. And I'll leave you with that thought, and leave you with this. As Wesley So says, serve the Lord Jesus, and as I say, God bless. And I'll see you next time on Chess Cruncher TV. Have a blessed morning, afternoon, and evening, guys. And I'll be back on Lord willing, and we'll go over some more puzzles, some more games, and as well, we'll study and do some studies. If you guys want to join, we have a team. It's called Team Chess Cruncher. It's capital T for in team, and capital C in chess, and capital C in Cruncher. They're also spaced. If you want to join the team, you're more than happy. When we get enough, we'll do like an arena battle, and we'll all have a fun time. So do good, guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Be blessed. Bye bye.